left, giving the Bronx Bombers plenty of opportunity to catch their first-place rivals. It's time for baseball from Fenway Park.
Alfonso Soriano has been on an absolute tear. He has driven in 18 runs for the Yankees over the last 4 games, matching an all-time Major League Baseball record. Soriano, all smiles. He led the way again last night in the series opener. Yankees over the Red Sox, 10-3. And these longtime rivals do it again today. Second of a 3-game weekend series on Fox Saturday Baseball. It's the Red Sox and the Yankees. Good afternoon, everybody. Kenny Albert along with Hall of Famer Tim McCarver. And Tim, for a Yankee team that has had trouble scoring runs all season long, that has not been the case this week.
The Yankees have asked themselves the question all season long, will we become the Bronx Bombers again this year? They received their answer behind Alfonso Soriano and his Boston manager, John Farrell, told us they are not the same team that they were a month ago, and he's right.
Yankees have scored 39 runs over their last 4 games. Red Sox heading in the opposite direction, Tim. They've lost 3 straight. Boston has not lost 4 in a row all season.
It's the flip side for the Red Sox. They've lost 6 of their last 8, and things don't get any easier either because the Red Sox play a night game tomorrow night and then travel to San Francisco. A lot of the guys are going right to the ballpark on Monday. It's a tough schedule for the next week and a half for the Red Sox.
They look to turn things around today. Yankee ace Hiroki Kuroda will take the mound against John Lackey as the Red Sox look to bounce back. Yankees try and make it 2 in a row here in Boston. It's a big day in Boston on Fox Sports. First 2 of baseball's heavyweights face off as the Yankees take on the Red Sox. Then later tonight, live from Boston, Shogun Rua faces off against Chael Sonnen in the first ever UFC fight card on Fox Sports 1. It's heavyweights on a collision course all day long on Fox Sports and FS1. Afternoon, 79 degrees in Boston as we welcome you back to Fenway Park. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. The opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. 10-3 win for the Yankees here last night. The Yankees have won 5 of their last 6 games. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. Center fielder Brett Gardner leads off, followed by Ichiro Suzuki. Robinson Cano hits third. The sizzling Alfonso Soriano in the cleanup spot. Then Alex Rodriguez, Curtis Granderson, the DH, bats 6th. Bottom of the order, Eduardo Nunez, Lyle Overbay, and the catcher Chris Stewart, as the Yankees face 34-year-old right-hander John Lackey. Record of 7-10 this season. He has lost his last 4 decisions.
Yeah, and don't let that 7-10 record deceive you, because he has had a revival after Tommy John surgery. He missed all of last year. Very deceptive record, and he's tough at home, pitching from the same mound. He's had 8 starts and is 4-2 with a 2.15 here at Fenway. Excellent.
Just 3-8 on the road this season. Defensively for the Red Sox, around the infield, Karp, Pedroia, Drew, and Middlebrooks. Nava in left, Ellsbury in center, Victorino in right. The battery of Lackey and Salt Bulamakia. And we are set for baseball here at Fenway as Brett Gardner steps in to face Lackey. Gardner, Ichiro, and Cano for the Yankees here in the top of the first inning.
Kenny, we had the same matchup 4 weeks ago on July 20th. John Lackey and Hiroki Kuroda, one of the more memorable games of the season that we've done.
A game won by the Yankees 5-2. Kuroda was terrific. Lackey took the loss, allowed 4 runs in 6 1/3. Gardner 2 hits in last night's game. 2 of the Yankees' 15 base hits. They scored at least 10 runs for the 3rd time in the last 4 games. Ichiro waiting on deck. Gardner behind 0-2.
There used to be a television show back in the mid-'60s called The Week That Was. And if the Yankees go on and make it to the postseason, and that's a big if, and Joe Girardi knows it, this will be the week that had turned the Yankee season around.
Now 1-2 on Gardner. This week coming on the heels of the acquisition of Soriano in late July. The return of Alex Rodriguez, the return of Curtis Granderson.
There are very few times we visit with the opposing manager and he has accolades for a guy like Alfonso Soriano, as John Farrell did today, asking us, what about the job Soriano's been doing? And he has. Man.
And John Farrell also said to us, it's not good as an opponent when Robinson Cano just blends in.
It's a great line.
A 1-2 from Lackey. Lackey quickly off the mound with the toss to Karp to retire Gardner, 1 away. Tim, time now for our Ford keys to the game.
It's pretty easy with these two teams going at each other. Are the Bombers back? Well, this last week they have been. Their best offensive week of the year. They scored 49 runs over the last 7 games. And for the Red Sox, just the opposite, trying to get back on track.
Here's Ichiro with 1 away. 1 for 5 with an RBI in last night's game. And he has more career at-bats against Lackey than anybody else in baseball.
Well, I would figure leading off for the Seattle Mariners all those years, 105 at-bats against John Lackey.
31 hits for a .295 average. Ichiro just 2 for his last 18 as Lackey misses high. Now 2-1. And the other comment made by John Farrell, you alluded to this in our open, the Yankees look like a completely different team than when we last faced them in mid-July.
Yeah, John said they're not the same team that they were a month ago. I said they're not the same team as they were 10 days ago.
Yankees trail the Red Sox by 7.5 in the American League East as Ichiro fouls it back. Count remains 2-2. Yankees 6 out in the wild card on August 17th as Robinson Cano, who is just blending in the words of Red Sox manager John Farrell, waits on deck. Full count. Gardner bounced back to the pitcher Lackey. One away, top of the first inning here in Boston. Payoff pitch to Ichiro. And it rolls foul, so Ichiro stays alive.
Ichiro with that swing, 29 infield hits this year. One last night that drove in a run as the Yankees won 10-3. You know, earlier in the scouting report, I said, you know, for a guy like Lackey, it's no wonder that he's very, very good at home in 8 starts, 2.15 earned run average. You know why? The mound's the same. On the road, the mound varies, even though it's 10 inches high.
Nice play by Lackey. Ichiro retired, 2 away.
Big league play, poor throw to first. We have seen a bevy of those already this year. Watch the play, now watch the throw. But you know, the mound's the same for a guy who's going to pitch for a team 81 games. He's going to start probably 10 to 13 times. It's the same mound. On the road, things change. The slope of the mound changes, not the height. It's got to be 10 inches high, and that's uniform. But different slopes, different mounds. I'm surprised that most guys aren't successful at home and not on the road.
Cano, first pitch, hits it into the shift. So Lackey retires the Yankees 1-2-3 and the top of the first here at Fenway. By Taco Bell, sometimes you gotta live Moss. Jacoby Ellsbury will lead off. Shane Victorino bats second, and Dustin Pedroia. David Ortiz in the cleanup spot, followed by Mike Carp. Then Daniel Navas, Stephen Drew, Jared Saltalamacchia, And Will Middlebrooks says the Red Sox face 38-year-old Hiroki Kuroda for the 4th time this season. He leads the Yankees in wins and has been tremendous over the last month and a half.
He has been unbelievable. A 2.33 earned run average, second to Felix Hernandez in the American League. Pitching with so much confidence, and a lot of people lose sight of the fact that this guy is an excellent fielder. And we saw an example of that on July 20th against these Red Sox, and his earned run average is just ridiculous.
He has not made an error, Tim, in his last 103 games.
His last error came in 2010.
Beat the Red Sox in the last meeting. You referred to it during the last half inning. Jacoby Ellsbury leads off, and on the first pitch he singles into right field. So the leadoff man on for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the first inning.
Jumping on the first pitch is Ellsbury, trying to give the Red Sox a start, and Ellsbury with 44 stolen bases in 48 tries.
You and I were joking before the game that broadcasters often say swings at the first pitch and pops it up, or swings at the first pitch and lines out. Well, in this case, Ellsbury swings at the first pitch, singles to right field.
I've never really understood that about broadcasters who, you know, along with the sabermetrics things about pitch counts and everything, thinking all hitters should be taking the first pitch, not Ellsbury.
You never hear he swings at the third pitch.
No, you never hear swings at the first pitch in homers.
Now Victorino takes ball one.
That's until today, and you're going to say that today.
That's right.
Before this game is over.
Tim guarantees it. Now Victorino was not in the original starting lineup for the Red Sox. Mike Napoli was scheduled to play first base, but came to the ballpark with a foot problem, so John Farrell shuffled things up, moved a couple of guys around, and Victorino, who was not in the original lineup, that's second for the Red Sox.
Yeah, Shane is normally a switch hitter, but because of a hamstring pull in his left leg, he can't hit left-handed because by being fooled on a pitch, he overextends that hamstring, chance of re-injuring it. So in order to prevent that, he's batting right-handed against a right-handed pitcher.
Victorino 0 for 4 last night. Falls behind 1-2.
We talk about being out in front of a splitter, way out in front. That's what Kuroda can do. He can make you look foolish.
Victorino no hits in his last 13 at bats. Ellsbury, the runner on first, leadoff single. Pedroia waits on deck. And Victorino strikes out, now 0 for his last 14.
Following up that splitter with a cut fastball off the plate away.
So 1 away as Dustin Pedroia steps to the plate defensively for the Yankees. Around the infield, Overbay, Cano, Nunez, and Rodriguez. Soriano in left, Gardner in center field, Ichiro in right. Battery of Kuroda and Chris Stewart. So here's Pedroia celebrating his 30th birthday today. Ellsbury back in at first. Pedroia went deep on his birthday last year. In fact, he has hit 3 home runs in his career on August 17th on his birthday, one shy of Nomar Garciaparra's club record of 4 home runs on his birthday.
That's great. Love it. That's another thing and another reason that Kuroda is so good from a pitching standpoint. Joe Girardi saying, would I consider Kuroda for a Gold Glove? Yes, I would, being objective. And I think he should be. In fact, I think he's the top candidate in the American League to win the Gold Glove with all the things that he's able to do defensively or once he gets rid of the ball.
Of course, when you think about Gold Glove pitchers, Jim Cott first name that comes to mind.
16, that's all. Kid grew up admiring Bobby Shantz. Left-handed pitcher who could move around the mound, believe me.
Nothing in 2 on Pedroia. Working on a 4-game hitting streak. Shares a birthday with Fox Sports 1, which debuted earlier today. Active participant in the Make-A-Wish program. And speaking about Gold Gloves, one of 8 to win the MVP award, Rookie of the Year, Gold Glove, and a World Series title.
You could have a list of about 25 things about Dustin Pedroia, and they'd all be good. Pedroia, one of the best 2-strike hitters in baseball. Shortens his stroke, goes to right field with 2 outs. I beg your pardon, with 2 strikes. Becomes a different hitter with 2 strikes till up to that point.
Kuroda checks the runner, Ellsbury. And Pedroia down on strikes, so back-to-back strikeouts for Kuroda. First Victorino, and now Dustin Pedroia.
That's what we're talking about, the confidence in Kuroda. That was a splitter to get Pedroia after making Victorino look as badly as Shane looked at the plate.
With 2 away, here's David Ortiz. At the age of 37, he is 5th in the American League with a batting average of .323, 7th in the league in runs batted in.
Just hammers the Yankees. .357 lifetime for Ortiz against New York.
And 6 for 9 lifetime against Kuroda. First pitch, Tim, bounces back to the pitcher, and Ortiz is retired.
I can hear Harry Carey saying it now. First pitch, I don't believe it.
Ellsbury stranded, no score after 1. Budweiser is sponsored by the 2013 Ford F-150 with EcoBoost. And by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Boss. Top of the 2nd inning here at Fenway. Alfonso Soriano, hottest player in all of baseball, steps in to face John Lackey. who retired the Yankees in order in the first. Soriano in last night's game, 3 for 4. He had another home run, 4 runs batted in, making it 18 RBIs over the last 4 games, and in his first at bat today, a single into center field.
Did you see John Lackey look at Soriano as if to say, how in the world could you reach that ball? What's that all about? Booing A-Rod? What a switch.
I think John Lackey is booing internally as well, following the comments he has made over the last couple of days. In John Lackey's major league debut with the Angels back in 2002, Soriano goes, and he is in. So Soriano steals second.
John Lackey, by the way, that's the 30th stolen base that he has allowed this year. That's by far the most in the major leagues. Forget it.
So Soriano in scoring position. As I started to say, Lackey's major league debut, A-Rod took him deep. First home run ever allowed by Lackey. Rodriguez, a member of the Texas Rangers at the time, and Lackey told the Boston Globe on Thursday, I've got a problem with A-Rod playing. You bet I do. How is he still playing? He obviously did something and he's playing. I'm not sure that's right. It's pretty evident he's been doing stuff for a lot of years. I've been facing him. There are things I want back.
A lot of players could say something like that. Reason A-Rod is playing, obviously, is because of the appeal process negotiated by the Major League Baseball Players Association. I know we're going to talk with Ken Rosenthal about all of that throughout this game, and it's a fascinating situation. Not necessarily good for the game, I don't think.
Lackey spins. Soriano back in, and some players, including Ryan Dempster of the Red Sox, alluded to what you just said. As per the collective bargaining agreement, Rodriguez has the right to play during the appeal process.
Yeah.
A-Rod 2 for 4 in last night's game. Pitch in the dirt.
Good play by Saltalamacchia. Preventing Soriano from going to third base. Watch this. That's nice.
Soriano, a leadoff single into center field, stole second. 2-2 on Rodriguez with Curtis Granderson on deck. Again, Lackey checks the runner. Soriano spins and throws. Soriano once again back in.
Rarely see a pickoff like 2 pitches apart. Pedroia there again, and close again.
Lackey to the plate, and the count is now full.
Thing about this situation is Pedroia is so close to second, Alex Rodriguez can hit the ball on the ground to the right side. That opens up the whole second base position because Pedroia is that close at second.
Rodriguez batting .300, 12 for 40 since his return. Payoff pitch, high and tight, ball 4. So the Yankees now have 2 on, nobody out as we head downstairs for more on the A-Rod situation. Check in with Ken Rosenthal. Ken?
Well, Kenny, A-Rod is allowed to play because under the joint jug agreement, he is a first-time offender, and first-time offenders are permitted to continue playing through their appeals. Melky Cabrera did just that last season. The difference was Melky had tested positive, so in his case, we didn't know about it. The process was confidential. A-Rod was suspended for just cause, and when players are suspended for just cause, as long as their names have been out there publicly, they can be announced as suspended before the appeals process begins.
All right, thanks, Ken. Here's Curtis Granderson, who takes strike one. Granderson came off the disabled list a week and a half ago. He missed 60 games, 8 hits in his last 14 at bats. Big opportunity here in the top of the second inning. 2 on, nobody out. And Granderson pops it into shallow center field. The catch is made by the shortstop, Drew. And Soriano is out at second.
That's a bad base running play by a good base runner. He's close enough to the center fielder. That last 2 steps toward third allowed him to be picked off. And Pedroia there again. Watch Pedroia backtracking, getting to the base. Drew makes the play. Great throw, great play, fine double play by the Red Sox. That was a mistake, and Soriano very upset with himself, and should be.
So the Yankees go from 2 on, nobody out, to Rodriguez on at first with 2 away, and Eduardo Nunez at the plate. Nunez 2 hits, including a triple in last night's game. He's a career .358 hitter against the Red Sox.
Perhaps some of you fans are thinking out there, why wasn't that an infield fly and the infield fly rule put into effect? Because it wasn't an easy chance in the umpire's estimation. And you saw in the replay that it wasn't.
No.
So no infield fly rule on that particular play.
Far from an easy play for Stephen Drew.
Right. Again, watch the play by Drew, going a long way for the ball, and the wherewithal to turn and throw it to Pedroia, who makes a short hop pickup.
Lackey missing away. Now 3-0. Overbay on deck should Nunez reach. Rodriguez takes his lead off first. 2 outs. Top of the second inning. Lackey did not pitch last season following Tommy John surgery. Record of 7-10 in his return this year. Second walk of the inning issued by Lackey. So the Yankees with 2 on, 2 out. Time for a Pepsi game break. We check in with Matt Vescursion. Matt.
Kenny, the Diamondbacks trying desperately to keep up with the Dodgers in the NL West. They're off to a good start against Jeff Locke, who hasn't won a game since July 21st. An RBI doubled by Will Nieves, making it 2-0 Arizona early. Back to you and Tim in Boston.
Thanks, Matt. Pirates with 72 wins. They are tied with the Red Sox for the second most wins in all of baseball, behind only the Atlanta Braves. So first and second, 2 outs for Lyle Overbay. Overbay with 8 career hits against Lackey, Tim, and 6 of the 8 have been doubles. Overbay went to spring training with the Red Sox this year.
Yeah, and Lyle's inability to hit left-handers effectively, the reason the Yankees went out and got Mark Reynolds, who homered in his first at bat as a Yankee last night, playing first base.
Reynolds released recently by the Cleveland Indians. And Overbay with a base hit into left field. Around third, Rodriguez. And he will head back. Took a wide turn. The throw came in from Nava. And the Yankees have loaded the bases on the Overbay base hit.
Yeah, when you're on at second base with 2 outs, Carl Yastrzemski proved 40 years ago that the left field, you can cheat in the left field because the monster. You can play a lot more shallow than you normally would. So therefore, Alex Rodriguez, who would normally try to score if it were normal left field, is held at third. Good play by Robbie Thompson, the third base coach, who was way up the line.
And who was celebrating his 50th birthday today.
Yes, good going.
So Fox Sports 1, Dustin Pedroia Rob Thompson and our associate director Aaron Stoikov. Chock full of birthdays on August 17th. Chris Stewart, the Yankees' number 9 hitter, comes to the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs. The Yankees have had 4 base runners this inning, but have not scored a run. Stewart fouls it off to the right side.
Those double plays can erase a lot of mistakes.
Soriano, who has doubled off second. How about that tip? With runners in scoring position over the last 4 games, the Yankees are batting .449. The 0-2 to Stewart. Ellsbury on the run, moving to his left, makes the catch. And the Yankees strand 3 in the second. Huge event tonight, Tim, on Fox Sports 1. UFC Fight Night from TD Garden here in Boston. Shogun Rua and Chael Sonnen. Followed by the news and highlight show fans have been waiting for, Fox Sports Live. It all begins tonight at 8 Eastern only on Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports 1 bus here in Boston. And Dana White, a native of South Boston, tremendously excited about this entire weekend. He was at the Patriots-Buccaneers game in Foxborough last night. He was wearing a Chandler Jones jersey, number 95, defensive lineman for the Patriots, who had a sack in the game. His brother, John Bones Jones, UFC star.
Wow. I didn't realize that the fight was in Boston until yesterday morning.
Dana White doing a terrific job accumulating some paraphernalia. Patriots jersey, Red Sox t-shirt. UFC Fight Night tonight on Fox Sports 1.
Tell you, watching that sport, I found a position tougher than catching.
You think?
Yeah. Yes.
2-1 on Mike Karp. You and I worked a Mets Nationals game in April. We had a chance to visit with Uriah Hall, up and coming Ultimate Fighter, native of New York, Queens, New York. Joined us in the broadcast booth that day. Dana White, president of the UFC. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Karp pinch hit in the 7th inning last night and was ejected. after arguing following strike 3. Ground ball to the right side. Overbay with the toss. Corona covering the retired Carp. Fox Sports 1 debuted this morning. And to find out what channel FS1 is on, log on to foxsports1.com. One away. Here's Daniel Nava. Nava has reached base in his last 28 starts for the Red Sox. Nava takes strike 1 from Corona.
I think if you're looking at the soul of the Red Sox, certainly Daniel Nava has to be mentioned, along with Dustin Pedroia, along with Shane Victorino.
Nava, a guy who was cut from his college team at Santa Clara, worked as a team manager, washed the uniforms. He signed with the Red Sox for $1 back in 2008. He was designated for assignment in 2011.
$1, huh? He signed for $1.
Yeah, and now, as you mentioned, has become one of the key members of this Red Sox roster. Two and two.
Try to say this and hope it comes out right. One of the sayings that if you spend a lot of time in a clubhouse as a player is, where do you put the wet stuff? The wet stuff meaning the undergarments.
Left field, Soriano on the warning track, and it's off the monster. Bounces back away from the Yankees left fielder, and Nava is in at second with a 1-out double.
Wall ball, a double, and now Daniel Nava has been on base 29 consecutive starts. But where do you put the wet stuff? That's it. You can add any baseball player, I'm sure any other sport too. Where do you put the wet stuff? Because it varies in different clubhouses. But usually the equipment managers and the guys who pick up stuff like that, they're responsible for it. Well, Daniel Nava, that's what he did in college. And now he's wearing the wet stuff for the Red Sox.
And he knows exactly where to put it after the game.
He certainly does.
Ball 1 to Stephen Drew. Drew 2 for 4 in last night's game. Made a tremendous defensive play in the top of the second inning, which led to a double play. Nava with a 1-out double. Red Sox with a runner in scoring position for the first time in today's game.
There's number 7. In fact, Stephen Drew's brother, as a Red Sox, wore number 7 also.
J.D. Drew.
Yep. There was a middle brother. Stephen is the youngest of the 3. Tim Drew, who was a pitcher at one time for the Cleveland Indians, I know in their organization. So J.D. the oldest, Tim the middle, and Stephen the youngest.
All 3 were first-round picks.
Yeah, right. From Valdosta, Georgia.
Three and 1 on Drew, with Nava the runner on second, 1 out. Yankees loaded the bases in the top half of the inning, but could not score. The 3-1 from Corona. Ichiro under it. Nava tags. Throw is cut off, and Nava slides in safely at third.
Pretty strong throw for a 39-year-old, huh?
What did you say?
A guy who takes care of himself and appears to be 10 years younger. Ichiro, 10-time Gold Glover. No, when you just talk about pure respect, I'm not sure that any major league player is respected more than that man.
Acquired by the Yankees last July, still going strong. 2 away. Here's Jared Saltalamacchia, the Red Sox catcher, working on a 5-game hitting streak. 1 for 4, drove in a run in last night's game. .1-0 from Corona. Backhanded by Cano. And Saltalamacchia is out at first. What a play.
You gotta be kidding me.
Deep in the hole. Cano makes the play. Nava stranded on third. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Beautiful Saturday afternoon in Boston in mid-August. Yankees and Red Sox are scoreless. Brett Gardner leads off here in the top of the 3rd inning against John Lackey. Takes strike 1. Gardner bounce back to the pitcher. Lackey his first time up. Yankees loaded the bases in the 2nd inning on 2 hits and 2 walks, but could not score. Hard hit. Carp will take it to the back himself to retire Gardner. So 1 away here in the top of the 3rd inning at Fenway Park. as Ichiro steps to the plate. Aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Ichiro, like Gardner, bounced back to the pitcher Lackey his first time up. 3,995 hits for Ichiro during his major league career in Japan and the United States combined. But he is 0 for 2 today. 5 shy of 4,000.
There have been 2 major league players, Ty Cobb and Pete Rose, who have over 4,000 hits. Ichiro trying to be the 3rd as a professional to have 4,000 hits or more, and he'll be there before too long.
And Ken Rosenthal, I know you had a fun chat with Ichiro about 4,000 hits yesterday.
Yes, Kenny, I asked him about it, and he said, well, it's not bad. And he pointed out that he has been an everyday player for 20 years. 7 in Japan, 13 in the majors, so it works out to 200 hits per year. And he said, now listen, if I had played 30 years, 4,000 wouldn't be so good.
An excellent point made by Ichiro.
Well, the way he takes care of himself, he may play 30 years.
Red Sox once again in the defensive shift as we check out Ichiro's numbers both in Japan and in the major leagues. 5 shy of 4,000. Cano grounded out to Pedroia his first time up. One-two to Cano, and he fouls it off back behind third. How about that? 339 career average at Fenway Park, Tim. Highest among all active players.
Love the hits here, to hit here.
Oh, Mackey again. Terrific play.
Wow.
Looking Hiroki Corona-like.
Yeah, you're right.
sponsored by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Bottom of the third inning here at Fenway Park. Kenny Albert, Hall of Famer Tim McCarver, and Ken Rosenthal as Will Middlebrooks leads off against Hiroki Kuroda. Takes a called strike.
Fred Lynn, one of the finest young ball players I ever saw. I had a chance to play with Freddie in 1975, his first year with the Sox.
Broken back, base hit into right field. So with Fred Lynn watching, Middlebrooks extends his hitting streak to 7 games.
Freddie, the first player to be the Rookie of the Year and the MVP in 1975 for the pennant-winning Red Sox, who lost in 7 to the Cincinnati Reds in one of the greatest World Series in the history of the game.
Also hit the first and to this date only Grand Slam in an All-Star game off Atlee Hammaker.
Atlee Hammaker in 1983.
Leadoff man on for the Red Sox for the second time, with Jacoby Ellsbury at the plate. Rodriguez in on the grass at third. Ellsbury single to right his first time up.
You may remember the famous Game 6 between the Red Sox and the Cincinnati Reds when Freddie Lynn crashed into the center field wall, and I have never heard a World Series crowd any quieter. Of course, wasn't at the game, but just on television, it was, you could hear a pin drop from the faithful here at Fenway when Freddie Lynn went down. And that, of course, the famous game when Carlton Fisk hit the 11th inning home run off Pat Darcy down the line, pushing it fair. In the 12th inning, I beg your pardon, Dick Stockton with the call, and there's the pole. What an evening. I think there were 3 rainouts before Game 6 also. I don't know if that heightened the drama, but it appeared to be the case. I think it took everybody, every baseball fan by surprise. Joe Morgan with a single off Jim Burton in the 9th inning of Game 7, won it for the Reds.
Yeah, from a television standpoint, famous story when Fisk was heading down to first and waving, motioning for the ball to stay fair. The camera that was located in the scoreboard in left field normally would not have followed the batter, but as the story goes, Harry Coyle, the legendary director with NBC for many years, the cameraman in left field, a huge rat ran by his feet at that moment, and he was stunned, so he kept the camera on Carlton Fisk and did not swing it around.
That's a great story. I'd forgotten that. It's a wonderful story.
Now the 2-1 fouled off to the left side. Let's take you back. Game 6, 75. Dick Stockton.
There it goes. A long drive. If it stays fair, home run.
Still gives you goosebumps. What a replay. There's that camera that Kenny was talking about.
Thanks to a rat behind the Green Monster. Left field scoreboard. The Yankees turn 2 as Cano tags out Middlebrooks. Throw to first, double play.
He is such a natural, makes it look so easy. The tag and the throw, 4-3, double play, 2 out. You know, Carlton Fisk has told me that he had to drive home that night, and he lived in, I believe, Charlestown, Mass, or Charlestown, New Hampshire, perhaps, and had to drive home and didn't arrive home until about 4:30 or 5 in the morning. and then had to drive back to Fenway that night for Game 7. What a night in New England.
He could have flown home that night without an airplane.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, man.
Victorino struck out his first time up. Carlton Fisk, a cousin of the late Dave Jennings, who passed away recently, the great punter with both the New York Giants and the New York Jets, tremendous broadcaster as well. He and Carlton Fisk, cousins. One and two on Victorino. 2 outs, bottom of the third inning here at Fenway, no score. That one got away from Corona. Pedroia on deck, should Victorino reach. Two from Corona. Backhanded play by Nunez. Long throw, and Victorino beats it out.
You can see Victorino shaking that left leg as he crossed first base. That is a good way to re-injure that hamstring. Running as hard as he can, smelling a base hit, slips out of the box.
That's his first base hit in his last 15 at bats. So an infield single for Victorino. Pedroia steps in with runner on first and 2 away. Pedroia struck out back in the first inning. First pitch, Tim. Cano wins the race to the bag.
You did it again.
Inning over, no score through 3.
I don't believe it.
On America's new sports network, and by the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. Back at Fenway Park, Top of the fourth inning, no score. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. Yankees no runs on 2 hits. Red Sox no runs on 4 base hits. Alfonso Soriano leading off against John Lackey. Soriano singled his first time up. As we alluded to earlier, 18 runs batted in over his last 4 games. Great note from one of our statisticians, Ben Boma. If Soriano started his season, Tim, on Tuesday with no runs batted in this season, 4 days later he would have surpassed 307 major league players on the list with 18 runs batted in.
Oh, that's wonderful. He can hit that pitch. Don't think Soriano can't hit that pitch that's down. Pitchers, they're preached to by pitching coaches, keep the ball down. Of course, that ball was up a little bit. But Alfonso Soriano served notice to Major League Baseball in the 2001 World Series Game 7, 8th inning that I can hit the low fastball.
Yankees, of course, would go on to lose that game and the World Series to the Arizona Diamondbacks. But that was a huge moment for Soriano and the Yankees as Rodriguez falls behind 0-1.
That gave the Yankees the lead 2-1 in the top of the 8th inning. And then Mariano Rivera struck out the side in the bottom of the 8th and then lost the game in the bottom of the 9th. The famous hit by Luis Gonzalez. What a game. What memories. 2 games in New York, games 4 and 5. 2 of the most dramatic World Series games ever, as the Yankees came back with 2 out, trailing by 2 in both games 4 and 5.
Soriano on the move, and Rodriguez fouls it off.
Here's that home run off Curt Schilling, pitching for the Diamondbacks. Ball on the ground. Schilling couldn't believe it. Neither could the stunned crowd in Phoenix. That was 2001. Then last night, check this out. This is spooky. Both pitches about in the same place. 2001, 12 years later last night.
Soriano on the move again. Throw from Saltalamacchia in time, and Soriano is out at second.
Great tag by Pedroia. The throw was high, the tag was low, and quick. Watch how quick Pedroia's hands are. Bang. To just get Soriano. Another thing, Pedroia straddling the bag instead of taking the ball in front of the bag and bringing it back. Catchers really appreciate that.
And a called strike 3. A-Rod down on strikes.
Saltalamacchia setting outside. Usually if you cross the plate, you don't get that pitch. But again, watch the jump by Soriano. Good jump. It took a perfect tag by Pedroia to get his man.
And now Curtis Granderson singles down the line and right. Yankees' second hit of the inning. Soriano, with the 18 runs batted in over the last 4 games, has not had a chance today. He's led off 2 innings, singled both times, and then erased at second base both times. Soriano with the 2 hits today, now 15 for his last 20.
That's a .750 average.
But he's back in the dugout with 2 outs. Granderson the runner on first. Eduardo Nunez walked his first time up. Yankees scored 10 runs last night. They scored 14 runs against the Angels on Tuesday, 11 runs on Wednesday, so at least 10 in 3 of their last 4 games. No score today, top of the 4th inning. Yankees loaded the bases in the 2nd. Couple of hits here in the 4th off Lackey. Now Granderson goes. Throw from Saltalamacchia, not in time, and Granderson is in with his 4th steal of the year.
You know, it's very, very important to pivot on your right foot if you're the base runner trying to steal second. Don't pick it up. There are some major leaguers who will pick that right foot up and put it right back down. And the proper way is to pivot on that, because picking it up takes time. Watch the spin on the right foot. That is a basic move to second base if you're trying to steal the bag. But there are some major leaguers that don't know that, because if they did, they wouldn't do it.
And that steal by Granderson, 2nd for the Yankees today. 31st against Lackey. You referred to that earlier. 29 coming into the game, most against any pitcher in baseball. And Soriano caught stealing earlier this inning, only the 6th base runner caught with Lackey on the mound. 2-1 on Nunez. Overbay on deck. 2 outs, top of the 4th inning in a scoreless game. Lackey has lost his last 4 decisions, matching his career high now in his 11th season. Lackey to first, and the inning comes to an end. Yankees strand another base runner. No score, middle of the 4th. The sports show you've been waiting for is here. Introducing Crowd Goes Wild with Regis Philbin and a cast of former athletes and journalists that will talk about things you won't hear, Tim, on other shows. Sports talk just got a lot more colorful. Crowd Goes Wild, premiering Monday with Regis Philbin on Fox Sports 1.
Regis, what a career in television he's had. 81 years old, young, and what a great guy that is almost beloved by everybody.
A huge sports fan. I saw him a couple of weeks ago. Could not be more excited about Crowd Goes Wild. So tune in on Monday.
I'm sure nobody will talk about Notre Dame football on his show, right? Notre Dame and the Yankees. Half of his favorites are here tonight.
Yes. Ortiz bounced back to Corona his first time up. Ortiz, Carp, and Nava for the Red Sox here in the fourth. Ortiz not happy with that call from home plate umpire Adrian Johnson.
Ortiz thought it was low. Usually balls in that area, Ortiz hits for home runs. He's not used to taking those pitches.
He's hit 23 this year, 424 in his major league career. Red Sox with at least one hit in every inning. Leadoff man has reached base twice over the first three. Payoff pitch from Corona. Ortiz fouls it back. Ortiz crushes this one. Right field, bounces up for a ground rule double.
Talk about a ball that was spanked. A high fastball up and into Ortiz and just hammered to right field. Ooh.
So the leadoff man on for the Red Sox once again, third time in 4 innings. So now Carp, who grounded out to the first baseman Overbay, his first time up. Carp, who spent the last 4 years with the Seattle Mariners. First pitch from Corona, base hit past the diving Cano. Into right field. Ortiz will hold at third. Red Sox with runners on the corners, nobody out. Time for a game break. We check in with Matt Vasgersian. Matt.
Kenny, the Cardinals are a surprisingly poor 12-19 against left-handed starters, but don't blame the switch-hitting Carlos Beltran. He had the Redbirds only 2 hits yesterday. He drives in the Cards' first run this afternoon with an RBI double. 1-0 St. Louis. Back to you and Tim.
All right, thanks, Matt. Cardinals second place in the National League Central. 3 games behind the Pirates and a half game ahead of the Cincinnati Reds.
Cardinals did get Yadier Molina back on Thursday afternoon, and then Tony Cruz has their other catcher, or one of 2 other catchers, had a stress fracture. Rob Johnson now the backup catcher to Molina. They have had a tough time scoring runs recently.
Unlike the Yankees.
Right.
Here's Daniel Nava, doubled his first time up. Takes strike 1. Ortiz a leadoff double. Carp then singled. So the Red Sox with runners on the corners and nobody out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Make Sunday extra special by going out to the ballpark. Go to MLB.com/Sunday to find special ticket offers.
Tell you, this is a situation where there's a lot of pressure, unknown pressure on the runner at third base. You're going to run if the ball's hit to the middle of the infield, but not to the corners. Because if it's hit to the corners, you may be out at home and have runners on at first and second and one out. You don't want that. You want to score on a double play, of course, and that's a ball hit to the middle infielders. But it's a lot tougher play being on at third with nobody out, first and third, than a lot of people realize.
One-two to Nava. Kuroda missing away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. First and third, nobody out. Strike 3.
Tailing fastball. Nava thought it was inside, looking back at home plate umpire Adrian Johnson, but I think it came back and got part of the plate. Yep, little Taylor, and Taylor made for Kuroda and the Yankees.
Third strikeout for Kuroda, first since the first inning. And we've talked about Kuroda's season, his brilliance over the last month and a half. Over his last 7 starts, Tim, in 5 of the 7, Kuroda has not allowed an earned run. And in 9 of his starts this season, 9 of his 24 overall, he has not allowed an earned run.
Last pitcher to do that, Ron Guidry in 1978, who had that phenomenal year, 25-3, Louisiana Lightning.
Last Yankee pitcher to have at least 9 starts without allowing an earned run. Stephen Drew fly to right his first time up. And for more on Kuroda, downstairs to Ken.
Well, you guys were talking about Kuroda recently. A scout told me that he had never seen Kuroda better than he was in his last start. 8 shutout innings against the Angels. His velocity actually has been up in recent starts, up to about 91, 92, and his command is just impeccable. Listen to this, guys. He has been ahead in the count against 65% of the batters he has faced this season. That's a career high.
Wow. And that start against the Angels on Monday did not allow a run in 8 innings, only 3 hits. You mentioned Louisiana Lightning. Ron Guidry, 1978, that fabulous season. This is the most scoreless starts of at least 7 innings in one season for the Yankees. And Kuroda has not allowed a home run in 54 innings. His second season with the Yankees, spent 4 with the Dodgers, made his major league debut in 2008 at the age of 33. There's Saltalamacchia waiting on deck. Ortiz, the leadoff double. Carp singled. Kuroda then struck out Nava. Now Drew awaits the 2-1 from Kuroda.
Talking to Joe Girardi about Kuroda and about his game awareness. He said that's stuff that you can't teach. Some guys have it, some don't. Kuroda does.
And it's year to year with Kuroda. Does not have a contract for next season. Signed a 1-year deal with the Yankees. Once again, for this year.
Yeah, he will have a contract for next year. That you can be sure of. If not the Yankees, somebody. And how in the world can you not sign him if you're the Yankees?
And it's interesting, he traded interpreters prior to this season with Yu Darvish. Kuroda's former interpreter now in Texas worked with Darvish. And
I didn't know that.
Darvish's
That's great.
former interpreter now with Kuroda.
Straight up, no cash involved.
As far as I know. Fastball missing inside, full count.
He tried to do exactly what he tried to do on Nava. That pitch stayed inside, however. Not the Taylor that it was on Nava, inside.
And the interpreter working with Darvish now, who happened with Kuroda, also given some responsibilities in baseball operations with the Texas Rangers. Double duty. Payoff pitch to Drew. Overbay. They did not get the out at second or at first. Ortiz scores. Everybody's safe.
Now try this. He didn't get the out at second, first, or home, which is where the ball should have been thrown. Home. You got a slow runner on at third. The ball's not hit hard enough. You go home. You get the out. It's a tag play. Overbay with the bad throw. You don't get the return throw. Stephen Drew runs too fast to expect a double play out of this anyway. You've got to come home with the ball.
An error charge to Overbay on the high throw. Drew is credited with a run batted in. Red Sox strike first.
Check this out. Look at Ortiz, bottom of your screen. The throw's got to come home. You have him easily. There are 2 outs with runners on at first and second. So you can say Lyle made the bad throw at second base, but you're not going to double up Drew anyway.
So the run scores. Everybody's safe. First and second. Still only 1 out. Saltalamacchia grounded out to second. A tremendous play by Cano. Back in the second inning. Runners go. Stewart double clutch. Throw to third. Safe. At third is Carp.
Now Girardi's going to come out and argue, but Alex Rodriguez was late getting to the bag. If he reacts quicker, Carp is out. Might have been out anyway. The tag on the right thigh. Yeah, he was out. Third base umpire Bill Welke not in proper position. I don't know how he gets in proper position. He's trying to run to get a better view of the play and missed the call. Carp was out. Stewart had to wait, and you could see Kuroda upset by the call. But Stewart had to wait for Alex Rodriguez to get there. A-Rod was too deep for a left-handed hitter. Should have been an easier play than it turned out to be.
So how many extra outs have the Yankees given the Red Sox this inning?
2 that we know of. 2 so far. Here's where A-Rod was. Now keep in mind you've got a left-handed hitter up there. He's way off the line, and there's a delay right there that allows Carp to get farther. Stewart had to wait before the throw, and even though he appeared to be out, it should have been an easier out, and the Yankees would have gotten the call.
Certainly did look like Rodriguez applied the tag in time. Now 2-2 on Saltalamacchia. And Tim, we talked to Joe Girardi earlier prior to the game about the proposed replay system, which was announced earlier this week by Major League Baseball. And you wonder if that is a play that he would have been able to challenge come next year.
I don't think there's any question about it. In a one-run ball game, no doubt.
Saltalamakia down on strikes for out number 2. And for more on the proposed replay system, downstairs to Ken.
Well, it's interesting, guys. Under the proposed rules, a manager would get only one challenge in the first 6 innings. And we've already seen 2 calls against the Yankees here that could have been challenged. The one we just witnessed at third and the out call on Soriano at second. So managers are going to need to be judicious. At the same time, if you win a challenge under this proposal, you retain your challenge. So if Girardi had challenged the first one and won it, he could have challenged the second.
That's right, Ken. Similar to football in the NFL, coaches have 2 challenges, but if their first is successful, they get a third. John Farrell's Red Sox lead the Yankees 1-0, 2 outs, bottom of the 4th inning. Will Middlebrooks at the plate, singled his first time up, extending his hitting streak to 7 games. Middlebrooks now 9 for 21 since his return from Pawtucket.
Got him twice. Got Stewart in the mask and the left foot.
You know the feeling well.
Yeah. Kidded about it before, and you have to kid about it. That I really missed that. But moms, don't let your sons grow up to be catchers. Or is that Cowboys?
Both.
Not trying to discourage any of you young folks out there who want to be major league catchers, but keep in mind it is a tough job.
Or Cowboys.
Or Cowboys, for that matter. Bronco wrestling is not the easiest job in the world either.
Have you tried that?
No. And it's too late to try.
Never too late.
Oh, yes, it is. I'll handle that.
Now, Middlebrooks, who was tremendous last season, we talked to John Farrell about his third baseman. Since his return, he's been a lot more relaxed. Put too much pressure on himself, perhaps, during the first half of the season. With Jose Iglesias doing such a nice job at the plate, Middlebrooks eventually sent down, but he regrouped. He's back. And he's hit very well, 9 for 21 since his return.
That putting pressure on yourself is not an uncommon problem with young players.
30th pitch of this inning from Corona is bounced up the middle. No play for Cano. Coming in to score is Karp. And the Red Sox now lead 2-0.
You know, last night was the same thing. Nunez playing way over in the hole for Middlebrooks. I think with a right-handed pitcher against a right-handed batter, I don't think you need to play in the hole that much. Nunez way over in a ball that normally he would, you know, it could have been that he didn't see that ball real well. The shadow is very, very difficult where Nunez was playing. He was playing in the shadow.
So an infield single, 28th run batted in for Middlebrooks. Larry Rothschild, Yankee pitching coach, out to the mound. Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball, is celebrating a new season for new memories. For your chance to win a community field makeover and an all-new 2014 Impala, visit ChevyBaseball.com. The Yankees give the Red Sox a couple of extra outs, plus what looked like a missed call at third.
Yeah, it has not been a good defensive inning for the New Yorkers.
Red Sox have scored 2 runs in the inning on 3 hits, an error, a couple of stolen bases, and now a third run comes home. As Ellsbury drives in Drew. Second hit of the day for Ellsbury, his 46th run batted in. Red Sox lead 3-0.
Not trying to put all the blame on Lyle Overbay, but that decision at first base has led to 3 runs so far. If he comes home with the ball, the Yankees find their way out of the inning. But when Lyle went to second, even though the throw was bad, but by going to second base, he cost the Yankees at least 1 run.
Shane Victorino 1 for 2. Takes a called strike, 0-1. Three runs here in the fourth for the Red Sox. But the big play is Tim just referenced with Ortiz on third. Ground ball hit by the next batter, Carp, to the first baseman, Overbay. Went to second. Attempted to get the double play, but should have gone home. Would have had plenty of time to retire the runner Ortiz from third.
Easily.
Off the fist.
And the key thing, Kenny, is you're not going to double up Stephen Drew. So if you don't come home, you're giving up a run. The ball wasn't hit hard enough. It's a high chopper. Forget the bad throw at second base. Obviously, that amplified things. But if you come home, it's an easy play to get Ortiz, and you go from there.
1-2 to Victorino. Corona missing low and away. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the other thing, Tim, due to what we just talked about, Corona has now thrown 35 pitches here in the fourth inning. Knocked down by Rodriguez. He goes tumbling after getting the out at third. So the inning finally comes to an end. But the Red Sox score 3 runs. Lead the Yankees 3-0. Red Sox lead the Yankees 3-0. Here's Lyle Overbay, leads off for the Yankees. Top of the 5th inning. Overbay singled his first time up. And we've been talking about Lyle, his decision during the last half inning to go for the double play, with Ortiz heading home from third. We spoke to Yankee manager Joe Girardi between innings, and you'll hear that conversation in just a moment. Overbay, Stewart, Gardner for the Yankees in the 5th. Yankees 39 runs over their last 4 games. Have certainly had their opportunities today over the first 4 innings. Low to the bases in the 2nd. 2 more hits in the 4th, but unable to score. 2-2 on Overbay. Overbay with a shot up the middle for a base hit, his 2nd of the game. So we chatted with Joe Girardi moments ago, asked him about Overbay's decision during the bottom of the 4th.
Well, it's okay. I mean, I think he had a chance to turn double play. He just made a bad throw, and you're trying to get the double play there. And he just made a bad throw, which he, usually doesn't do. He's so good over there.
And Corona, 36 pitches that inning over the first 3. Again, tremendous. And your thoughts on what you've seen from Hiroki over this 2013 season?
Well, he's been special for us this year, and you couldn't ask him to do any more than he's done. And you look at that last inning, we gave him extra outs, and that's what leads to the extra pitches.
Thanks, Joe. Best of luck.
Thanks, Joe.
And now a base hit for Stewart. He'll be awarded second base. Moving to third, Overbay. So after allowing 3 runs in the last half inning, Yankees with second and third. Nobody out here in the 5th.
And Stewart hitting it just over the head of Will Middlebrooks. And this ball bouncing into the stands for a double. We come to these managers during the middle of a game. It's very, very difficult. These guys are really under the gun. They're trying to process what happened in the previous inning. And, reading into it, I think Joe was protecting Lyle Overbay. I understand why he was doing that. I think Overbay should have come home, but these are plays that are made in a split second. A little forethought.
Now Lackey checks the runner at third, gets the out at first.
But you certainly understand why Joe Girardi would say what he said. Big out for Lackey. That, by the way, is the 5th assist for John Lackey in this game. The most this season was in San Diego by the right-hander Andrew Kashner. He had 7 in a game earlier this season.
I think Lackey heard about what you were saying with regard to Corona and the potential Gold Glove Award, and
so we'll see about that.
He's having a tremendous game in the field.
He is.
Ichiro 0 for 2. Takes strike 1. Now getting back to Girardi for a second, both managers, Joe Girardi and John Farrell, have always been among the most open with us.
Oh, yeah.
Cooperative.
Oh, yeah.
Pleasant to speak with. And
so professional.
We thank them for giving up some time between innings.
Sure.
To speak with us and let the viewers know their thoughts about strategy and some of their players. And Joe, of course, Joe Girardi, a former colleague of ours at Fox Sports, also did some broadcasting for the Yes Network in New York. Nothing and 2 on Ichiro. Robinson Cano waiting on deck. Yankees with runners on second and third. 1 out. Overbay and Stewart, the base runners, as Saltalamacchia is out for a chat with Lackey.
Yeah, Lackey motioning for Jared to come out there. So it was Lackey's call, and that's the way it should be. Those catchers who go out to the mound for no reason whatsoever, it makes no sense. But if a guy calls you out there, go. And the point is, he's the guy who's in control of the inning.
And in some cases, catcher is told to leave.
Oh, yeah. I was told to leave several times. The most famous, Bob Gibson telling me to get on back behind the plate. The only thing I knew about pitching was that it was hard to hit. I went 5 years without going to the mound, catching him on a regular basis. But that is a true story. I heard that. I said, not me, pal. I'm not going out here again.
A 5-year drought.
That's correct. Manager Johnny Keane and Red Shandies kept saying, you got to go out and try to slow him down. I said, you go out and slow him down. I've already given.
I guess the games were a little bit quicker if you never went out to the mound.
And they were with Gibson, believe me. Rapid fire. Rapid Robert fire.
Ichiro waiting the 2-2 from Lackey. Second and third, one out, and now Ichiro steps out.
It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then, kid.
Nice play by Pedroia. Gets the out at first. Coming in to score is Overbay, so the Red Sox lead is now 3-1.
We've seen some great plays by second baseman tonight. 2 by Cano, and this one by Pedroia. That is a very difficult play with the backhand short hop sliding, and has Ichiro easily at first base. He's as good as they get right
his birthday,
there.
no less.
Yeah.
So now the Yankees with a runner on third, Stewart, 2 outs. And the Red Sox, because there are 2 outs with the runner on third, able to shift defensively.
And you know, in that shift, it's Pedroia, the guy with the long throw. Normally teams will have the shortstop, but the shortstop, Stephen Drew, is playing where most second basemen do, and Pedroia is the deep guy. And now it's a little revised version of that wishbone defense.
Drew back on the other side of the second base bag.
Yeah.
0-1 to Cano, and he crushes it foul. Our Fox Sports 1 pitcher comparison presented by Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network. Corona allowing the 3 runs in the 4th inning. Only one of the 3 was earned. Wacky looking to close out the Yankees here in the 5th. Cano has grounded out twice. There's Soriano waiting on deck, who has not come to the plate with a runner on base today. He's led off the second, led off the 4th. Has not had an RBI opportunity after driving in 18 the last 4 games. Cano fouls it off, this time back behind third. .73 pitches so far thrown by Lackey. Looking to end a 4-game losing streak. He's lost his last 4 decisions. After starting the season 7-6. Pedroia again. And Cano is retired. That ends the inning. Yankees score a run on 2 hits. Pedroia getting it done to the field once again for the Red Sox today. 3-1 Boston. is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Here at Fenway Park, aerial coverage provided by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. Bottom of the 5th inning, Dustin Pedroia leads off for the Red Sox against Hiroki Kuroda. Red Sox scored 3 of the 4th on 4 hits and 1 Yankee error. Pedroia 0 for 2 has made some terrific defensive plays. So Pedroia 30 today, Tim. Other baseball birthdays. Jorge Posada, great Yankee catcher, turning 42 today.
Well, what a career he had. My goodness.
Also, the ex-Red Sox Butch Hobson and Boog Powell celebrating birthdays as Pedroia lines out to Robinson Cano. So it's a big day, August 17th. We've told you about all the birthdays. Willie Mays hit his 660th, the final home run of his career for the Mets on this date in 1973. In '86, final at bat for Pete Rose, struck out by Goose Gossage. And of course today, the launch of Fox Sports 1. Now, you were telling a story about pinch running for Pete Rose in your last game, October 5th, 1980.
That is correct. Dallas Green was the manager. I was playing with the Phillies. Came back for the month of September in 1980. That was the year the Phillies won their first World Championship. But it was my last game, and I asked Dallas Green that if Pete Rose gets on this at bat. Pete, by the way, was the only regular who started the 162nd game. Phillies had clinched the day before on a Mike Schmidt home run. And I asked Dallas if I could pinch run for Pete Rose, and in my last game I did. And I think it was one of about 3 or 4 guys who ever pinch ran for Pete.
A select few.
Yeah. He maximized his base running better than anybody I ever saw. He wasn't the fastest guy, but step for step, he was the best base runner I ever saw.
So you pinch ran for the best base runner you ever saw.
Yeah, but
quite an accomplishment.
That doesn't mean anything other than it was my last game.
2-2 on Ortiz with 1 out. Bottom of the 5th inning.
Pete Rose traded to the Phillies, or actually signed as a free agent for the '79 season. And I learned more about base running in that 1 year from him than I had learned in my 19 previous years. And that's a fact. As Ortiz goes after the splitter out of the strike zone, only the 5th strikeout for Kuroda in this game.
So 2 away. Here's Mike Carp. Speaking of Phillies managers, and you mentioned Dallas Green.
Yeah.
Another one of the classy managers who always spent a lot of time with us before broadcast, was very gracious. Charlie Manuel let go yesterday by the Phillies, replaced by Ryan Sandberg.
I want to tell you a story about this week. You know, the Philly organization was very silent, and usually that is a sign. You kind of get the feel when you've been around the game for a long time, and we'll talk about it the next inning about Charlie Manuel's firing yesterday.
As Carp grounds out to the first baseman, Overbay. Tim, for Soriano, it's the third time he's leading off an inning in today's game. No RBI opportunities after tying a major league record, driving in 18 over his last 4 games.
Still locked in, however, 2 for 2 today. But some shaky base running, doubled off second base in the second inning. That's one of the key plays in this game thus far.
Of course, I say no RBI opportunities. Has not come up with a man on base. He could hit a home run,
sure,
and drive in himself. He has singled twice. In case you're wondering, the record for most runs batted in over a 5-game stretch is 21. Back in 1929, Jim Bottomley of the St. Louis Cardinals. Backhanded by Middlebrooks. Soriano retired for the first time today. Well, you hear the boos raining down from the crowd here at Fenway as Alex Rodriguez comes to the plate for the third time, and a day does not pass without more controversy surrounding Alex Rodriguez. And for an update on the latest, downstairs to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, Kenny, just when you thought the animosity between A-Rod and the Yankees couldn't get any more intense, it gets more intense. A-Rod's new lawyer, Joseph Tacopina, telling the New York Times that the Yankees misled A-Rod about his injuries and wished that he would never play again. That Commissioner Bud Selig has targeted A-Rod to make him the poster boy for the steroid era, and that baseball and the Yankees worked in concert to nullify the rest of A-Rod's contract. Now, the Yankees and MLB obviously deny these charges, and what they say is that A-Rod is mounting this type of campaign to deflect attention from his 211-game suspension and all else that is going on around him.
Thanks, Ken. So stay tuned.
I find it mind-boggling that Alex Rodriguez is playing for the New York Yankees on a daily basis and continues to allow his representatives to come out with these remarks when he is purportedly trying to help a team win a division or get into postseason play. It's all counterproductive, is it not? At least in my view it is.
Tim, I think A-Rod's side would answer that they have been the subject of leaks from whoever, maybe it's baseball, maybe someone else, and that A-Rod has been taking a public beating, such as yesterday's story when it was reported that he gave information to Yahoo Sports about Francisco Cervelli and Ryan Braun being linked to PEDs. So it's a public relations war, what we have here, and it's being fought by both sides.
And A-Rod denied that report yesterday. He said he spoke with Cervelli yesterday morning. He said it was a positive conversation and that Francisco understands that it's not true. He said we are on the same page.
But are there any parallels in the history of this game where a man playing on a daily basis
Another terrific play by Pedroia.
3 of the last 4 outs have been made on terrific plays by Dustin Pedroia. He's everywhere. But I mean, where does this thing end? When do the stories stop?
Well, the boos haven't stopped.
No.
As Rodriguez heads back to the Yankee dugout.
The boos may start in the dugout that he's returning to. Pedroia with 5 assists and 2 putouts today.
Pitcher Lackey with 5 assists as well. Lackey has retired 5 in a row, all on groundouts. 2 outs, top of the 6th inning. Curtis Granderson 1 for 2. Single to right his last time up. Red Sox scored 3 in the 4th. Yankees came back with a run in the 5th. Two and 2 on Granderson. 12 ground ball outs hit into by the Yankees. On one hop, guess who? Pedroia again. Granderson retired. Yankees retired in order in the 6th.
Action Bucks. Pittsburgh fell behind 8-0 after 2.5, but came back with 4 in their half of the third. 3 on Pedro Alvarez, National League leading 30th home run of the year. 8-4 D-backs in the 5th. Cardinals and Cubs. St. Louis up 1-0 when Starlin Castro apparently lost track of the out count, thinking this Matt Carpenter pop-up ended the inning. Instead, John Jay tags up and scores. Dale Swaim says, Starlin, you're done. Scratch him off. Now 4-0 Cardinals in the 6th. Let's send you back out to Boston. Kenny and Tim.
All right, thanks, Matt. Castro thought the inning was over. That was not the case. Our game summary brought to you by Domino's. Oh, yes, we did. Red Sox have scored their 3 runs in the 4th inning. Lackey has allowed only 1 run through 6. And Soriano with a pair of base hits for the Yankees. Now 15 for his last 21. Here's Daniel Nava. 1 for 2, doubled in the 2nd inning. Nava, Drew, and Saltalamacchia here in the bottom of the 6th, with the Red Sox leading 3-1. Left field, Soriano back on the track. Can't make the catch. Bounces off the wall. Second double off the wall and left for Nava today.
Soriano having all sorts of problems with that wall in left field this afternoon. Second time. Actually, the other one hit by Nava was not playable, but this one was. And not knowing how far he was, that's why that track is there. And we talked about it earlier. Nobody played that wall better than Yaz.
The wall that was painted green in 1947.
Really? I didn't know that. What color was it prior to that?
We'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
Here's Drew, who drove in a run back in the 4th inning. Ground ball to the right side, moving Nava over to 3rd. Today's telecast is sponsored by MasterCard, proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer. And by Harley-Davidson, introducing Project Rushmore, coming August 19th. So Nava now at third with one out. Here's Saltalamacchia. And Tim, just to finish up, we were talking about Charlie Manuel and the Phillies.
I told a friend of mine this week, kind of feeling that Charlie might get the axe this week or soon. I had a proposal and an idea, and this is what I would have done were I the Phillies, which I'm not.
You used to be.
I would have hired Ryan Sandberg as he did, as the Phillies did, and I would have offered Charlie Manuel the bench coach's job. I don't know whether he would have accepted it. I called Charlie, left him a message last night, and told him that. He has yet to get back to me, but he will. But out of respect to this man, I mean, it was just a couple of years ago in Philadelphia, they were talking about Charlie Manuel being a rock star. Rock stars don't get fired without being offered a chance. And normally that would be an unusual and unsavory situation. But I think because Charlie Manuel is the man he is, there would have been no backstabbing and things of that nature for a guy who had just managed the ball club. I can't think of a situation like that where that's ever been done. But I think with those two people involved, Sandberg and Charlie Manuel, it would have worked.
Adam Warren up in the Yankee pen. Ken Rosenthal, I know you had a chance yesterday to speak with one of Charlie Manuel's former players, Shane Victorino of the Red Sox.
Right, and Victorino was upset that Charlie Manuel's great career in Philadelphia ended the way it did. Kind of hits to the point that Tim is talking about. Victorino told me that he almost teared up when he heard the news, and the reason was not anything to do with the circumstances, because he didn't know the circumstances. He just said that for all Charlie Manuel accomplished, he deserved a better ending. He deserved to go out in a more magnanimous way, and it didn't happen. And Victorino was upset, Jason Worth was upset, and a lot of people in baseball are upset that Charlie Manuel didn't get a better send-off.
I think that is the perfect word, Ken, magnanimous, because that's exactly what Charlie Manuel was for 9 years in Philadelphia. People are upset.
World Series title in 2008, lost to the Yankees in the 2009 World Series. Charlie Manuel, the all-time winningest manager in Phillies history, and his final win on Monday, the 1,000th of his career, including his time with the Cleveland Indians.
It's almost that the Phillies, it was almost like the Phillies waiting for that moment to occur, and when that game was over, he was going to be gone. It's more than coincidence that they waited until after Monday.
Saltalamacchia stays alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nava, the runner on third with 1 out. Bottom of the 6th inning. Middlebrooks on deck.
The Phillies, by the way, did offer Charlie Manuel a position in the organization, which he appreciated, but we'll get back to them. There are just some guys who are in that position that transcend that position, I think, Ken. And he's one of them.
Absolutely. Full count. 99 pitches for Kuroda. 1 out, bottom of the 6th inning. Infield in. Payoff pitch to Saltalamacchia. Base hit left field. Navas scores. Red Sox now lead 4-1. RBI number 46 and a 6-game hitting streak for Jared Saltalamacchia.
I think Kuroda was going after the strikeout, a high fastball, and Saltalamacchia pounded it to left field. Good hitting by Jared Saltalamacchia on the 9th pitch of the at-bat.
And the 100th thrown by Kuroda in today's game. So now Will Middlebrooks 2 for 2, drove in a run back in the 4th inning. By the way, Tim, you asked what color the Green Monster was before it was painted green in 1947. And I did not have an immediate answer, and for good reason. It was covered with advertisements.
Huh. Glad that doesn't happen now. Seeing Covidian out there made me think of that.
But there was no open spot prior to 1947. Advertisements on the entire Monster. So it was not any one color.
I guess that was shortly after the other venerable ballpark in Chicago, Wrigley Field, where Bill Veeck planted vines. I think the late 30s, 38, I believe. The Monster in Boston and the vines in Chicago.
There were some navy blue spots on the wall with white ads everywhere. (4-1) Red Sox. Still 1 out, bottom of the 6th inning. Middlebrooks called out on strike. 2nd strikeout for 6th strikeout, excuse me, for Kuroda. Well, Fox Sports 1, America's new sports network, is finally here with an epic night of premieres, beginning with UFC Fight Night. Tonight, Shogun Rua takes on Chael Sonnen, followed by the news and highlights show fans have been waiting for. It's Fox Sports Live. It all begins tonight at 8 Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. UFC Fight Night from TD Garden, home of the Bruins and Celtics. So 2 away. Here's Ellsbury. 2 hits, drove in a run his last time up.
That's the Garden.
UFC president Dana White on hand earlier here at Fenway Park. He was at the football game last night, Patriots and Buccaneers on Fox, sitting with Chairman and CEO of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft.
Pretty busy week, or a pretty busy weekend for Fox Sports.
As Ellsbury crushes one off the wall and right. Saltalamacchia scores. Ellsbury, wide turnaround third. Drives in his 2nd run today. Red Sox lead is now 5-1.
Probably a double by Ellsbury, and on the throw home could be an error on Robbie Cano, who threw to the right of catcher Chris Stewart, and that's going to be all for Kuroda. Kuroda was backing up the play, but he was toward the third base side. And another run for the Sox.
Three of the 5 earned. He allowed only 5 runs total over his previous 7 starts.
That's remarkable. Bad day and some shaky defense behind Kuroda this afternoon.
Replaced by the 25-year-old right-hander Adam Warren, who faces Victorino with Ellsbury on at third. He doubled and then moved to third on the Robinson Cano throwing error. Only the 4th error charged to Cano this season. 2 runs in the inning for the Red Sox. They've extended to a 5-1 lead.
Never know, do you? I mean, the game can turn on a dime. Last night, the Yankees, world beaters, winning 10-3 against Boston. And this afternoon, it's Boston doing the scoring. 3 hits for Ellsbury, a couple of RBIs.
Soriano in left. And that will do it for the Red Sox in the 6th, but they had a couple of runs, now lead the Yankees by 4. We'll return after these messages from your local Fox station. Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. We move to the 7th. Yankees 1 run on 6 hits, 2 errors. Red Sox 5 runs, 11 hits. Kenny Albert, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. Eduardo Nunez will lead off for the Yankees. Bottom of the order against Lackey, who has retired 6 in a row. All on groundouts.
He has had a ground out type day. 6 innings of work, of course. That's 18 outs. 13 of those 18 outs on the ground, on ground balls.
6 hit to the second baseman Pedroia. 5 back to the pitcher Lackey. That's 11 of the 13.
Yeah. That expression, how a pitcher uses the defense behind him, that's what Lackey's done today.
1 ground out to the first baseman Carp, 1 to the third baseman Middlebrooks. 3-1 on Nunez, who walked his first time up and then bounced back to Lackey. Yankees 39 runs over their last 4 games, only 1 so far today. Yeah, Joe Girardi mentioned to us before the game this explosion over the last 4 days. Go back to the Yankees' last road trip, an 8-game trip. They faced the Dodgers, Padres, and White Sox, scored only 19 runs total during that 8-game trip recently. Nunez walks for the second time today. Yankees have the leadoff man on to the 7th.
Nunez, it takes a good athlete to get away from some of those up and in pitches, as Nunez just limboed under that high fastball. Knees take a beating getting out of the way of some of those up and in fastballs. Uncharacteristic wildness by Lackey to Nunez.
Third walk issued by Lackey today. Now Overbay as the ball bounced away from Saltalamacchia, then he recovered. 0-1. Pedroia with the flip. The second off to first. Red Sox turn the 4-6-3 double play.
Two more outs via the ground ball. 15 outs recorded because of ground balls by Lackey.
And the 7th hit to the birthday boy Dustin Pedroia. So with the bases empty and 2 away, here's Chris Stewart. Craig Breslow up in the Red Sox pen. Next pitch from Lackey will be his 100th of the day. Fox Sports Live debuts tonight at 11 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Two and two. Gardner waiting on deck. Should Stewart reach? Payoff pitch to the Yankee catcher, Henson.
Nunez got out of the way of those up and in fastballs, but not Chris Stewart. Right on the left tricep, and I think that's going to be all for Lackey.
Manager John Farrell heads out to the mound. Lackey will be replaced by Craig Breslow. Receives an ovation from the crowd. Leads with a 5-1 lead. One run in 6 2/3. Stewart on first is his responsibility. 33-year-old left-hander Craig Breslow, the New Haven, Connecticut native who graduated from Yale University in 2002, will face a pinch hitter, Vernon Wells. Wells batting for Brett Gardner.
It's a bit of a surprise, even though Gardner's numbers are not as good against left-handers as Vernon Wells. Wells hitting 300, Gardner 242. But Gardner will be back up probably in this game if it goes to the 9th inning. Got to figure if it doesn't, the Yankees are going to lose anyway. But it's a bit strange to pinch hit for Gardner in this situation. A lot of ways Gardner can get on base.
Slow roller. And Middlebrooks unable to barehand it, so Wells safe at first. Stewart moves to second and the inning continues.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a base hit. Middlebrooks tried to barehand it and the ball came up on him. So Wells does get on there even though it's an infield hit. Sometimes hitters put balls in the spots where nobody can make the play.
It is an infield single for Wells. So now first and second with 2 outs for Ichiro, who has grounded out 3 times today, although he did drive in the Yankees' only run on a ground out to the second baseman Pedroia his last time up. Ichiro, Tim, lifetime against Breslow, lefty against lefty, is 7 for 15.
That's not unusual for Ichiro, hitting better against left-handed pitchers this year than right-handers.
There's the right-hander, Junichi Tozawa, up and throwing in the Red Sox pen. Stewart and Wells, the base runners. Now 1-2 on Ichiro.
John Farrell telling us before the game that Uehara and Tozawa have been godsends for the Red Sox this year, getting much more than was expected out of those two right-handers.
The 1-2 from Breslow. A sharp grounder taken to the bag by Karp. So Ichiro grounds out for the 4th time today. Yankees strand 2 in his 7th inning stretch time here at Fenway. And by Mazda, we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. Changes for the Yankees. Ichiro moves from right field to center field. Vernon Wells remains in the game in right after pinch hitting for Brett Gardner. Dustin Pedroia leading off against Adam Warren, who retired. The only batter he faced, Shane Victorino, to end the 6th inning. Yankee starter Hiroki Kuroda went 5 2/3, allowed 5 runs, 3 earned on 11 hits. So now it's Warren, the 25-year-old right-hander out of the University of North Carolina.
Tar Heel.
He was a teammate and good friends with Mets ace Matt Harvey.
I had read that. By the way, I think the matchup next year, Max Scherzer is going tomorrow. I think the matchup next week when Detroit plays at Shea Stadium, Matt Harvey, I beg your pardon, Citi Field, little Freudian slip there. Matt Harvey and Max Scherzer, the starters in the All-Star game at Citi Field.
Max Scherzer, who you predicted, along with Joe Buck on the opening telecast of the season, Tigers and Yankees. You said during the Open that Max Scherzer would win the American League Cy Young Award.
Well, I thought that because I thought everything was coming together, and it certainly has come together for a guy who's 17-1, pitches tomorrow against the red-hot Kansas City Royals. And then next Saturday at Citi Field against Matt Harvey. That's what's scheduled to happen. That's pretty good. Rarely does an all-star matchup pitch after the all-star game.
Max Scherzer, of course, pitched 1 inning in the all-star game because he started for the Tigers previous Saturday, and Jim Leyland did not want to use any pitcher who pitched that Saturday more than 1 inning in the all-star game.
Right.
David Ortiz, 1 for 3, double, came around to score in the 4th inning. When the Red Sox scored 3 runs, they added 2 in the 6th. Deep center. Ichiro watches it. It's gone. Number 24 on the season for David Ortiz. The 425th home run of his major league career. Red Sox now lead 6-1.
I'll tell you, it's disheartening for a pitcher when he's not sure whether the ball's going out or not, when he sees the outfielder turn toward the wall. He always wants to see the outfielder's face. The minute he sees his back, he knows the ball's at least against the wall. So a home run by David Ortiz, home run number 24 on the year, and it was a bomb to center.
And with 425, he is now 1 behind Billy Williams for 47th on the all-time list. Mike Carp with a base hit down the left field line into the corner. Carp in at second with a stand-up double, his second hit today.
Tell you, Brian Cashman of the Yankees finding the pieces, albeit late during a season, with the week the Yankees have had. And you know who else has done that? Ben Sherrington. I don't think Major League Baseball had heard of Mike Carp before this year, but they've heard of him now. Nice pickup by Ben Sherrington, the general manager of the Red Sox, who's done a terrific job. His first move last year, the big trade in August, where Adrian Gonzalez, Nick Punto,
Carl Crawford,
Josh Beckett went to the Dodgers, unloading a ton of salary from the Red Sox. I did not think that the Red Sox would be able to move that salary. I don't think anybody did. And now look at the hottest team in baseball, the remarkable Los Angeles Dodgers.
Who will be on Fox. There's John Henry, Red Sox owner. Red Sox and Dodgers next Saturday on Fox.
In Los Angeles.
Red Sox lost 93 games a year ago. What a turnaround. And how about the Dodgers? 41-8. 41-8 over their last 49 games.
24-3 since the All-Star game. 24-3.
Oh, they lost those 3 games?
Yeah,
Come on.
I know Clayton Kershaw lost to one of them. to the St. Louis Cardinals in a recent 3-game stand.
Galvin draws a walk. Larry Rothschild a slow walk down to the mound. Well, with 37,517 in attendance, we take a look around Fenway Park via the Fox Sports 1 fan cam. Fans around Fenway excited about America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1, which debuted this morning. Kurt Menefee brought the network on the air. UFC Fight Night tonight on Fox Sports 1 from TD Garden here in Boston. What a weekend here in Boston.
What a weekend.
Involving Fox. Preseason football last night. Yankees Red Sox today. UFC Fight Night tonight. Red Sox leading the Yankees 6-1. Stephen Drew drove in a run back in the 4th inning. 2 on, 1 out. Carpet Nava, the base runners.
By the way, we mentioned Clayton Kershaw. In about 15 minutes, he opposes the Philadelphia Phillies against Kyle Kendrick. Phillies losing to Greinke in last night's game, a shutout from the Dodger right-hander.
Right field, Vernon Wells, 2 away. We talked about Matt Harvey, the starting pitcher for the National League of the All-Star game. Some felt that Clayton Kershaw deserved to start, but he was very gracious. He said, look, Harvey's having a great season. Games in his ballpark, I understand.
A classy move by a classy guy, Clayton Kershaw.
With 2 away, Jared Saltalamacchia. He drove in a run his last time up. Six-1 lead for the Red Sox, and you referenced it earlier, Tim. They'll head out on a 6-game road trip. Yankees and Red Sox will play a night game here tomorrow. Red Sox will stay home, sleep in their own beds, and then leave at 10 o'clock Monday morning. And they have a game in San Francisco that night.
Just a murderous week for the Red Sox. Trying to get your body adjusted without having to play a game when you immediately get there. I was telling you about a couple of double headers that were slated in a rather murderous 2 days back in 1978. On October 3rd and 4th, a Sunday, and then Labor Day, September 3rd and 4th of 1978. A scheduled doubleheader in San Francisco, and then a scheduled doubleheader the next morning at 11 a.m. in St. Louis.
Here's Cano. Inning comes to an end, giving new meaning to Labor Day weekend.
We certainly did labor those 2 days.
4 games in 2 days in 2 cities. Ortiz goes deep, his 24th. 6-1 Red Sox. camp profile. Robinson Cano, Alfonso Soriano back with the New York Yankees. Of course, Soriano began his Yankee career as a second baseman. And when the Yankees made the trade with Texas prior to the 2004 season, as Cano bounces one foul back behind first. You and I talked about this last week during a telecast from San Francisco. A-Rod to the Yankees, Soriano to the Texas Rangers. Now the Yankees provided Texas with a list of 5 other players. Rangers were able to choose one of the 5. Cano was actually on that list, but Texas went with Joaquin Arias, now with the San Francisco Giants, as the player to be named later. He was the 3rd player in the A-Rod Soriano deal.
You have a lot of decisions to make as a general manager. We talked about Ben Sherrington and Brian Cashman the last inning, and sometimes they're wrong, and that was, everybody knows now, the wrong decision.
And you also think about how the course of baseball history would have changed had Aaron Boone not played basketball during the offseason.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Had the knee problem. Cano became of more paramount interest to the Yankees. And now, where's Cano going to sign and play next year? The Dodgers? They're the new Yankees as far as money is concerned. Not that the Yankees are, are poor.
And would A-Rod have become a Red Sox back in 2004?
Yeah.
Broken bat. Cano grounds out to Pedroia. We head downstairs once again to Ken.
Well, at this point, so late in the season, guys, it certainly looks like Robinson Cano will hit the free agent market. And the dynamics have changed since he was given an offer by the Yankees in spring training, a big offer. We can talk about this more after the pitching change.
And we certainly will, as Breslow retires Cano, with the Red Sox leading by 5. The Red Sox pitcher, he has a 13-inning scoreless streak against the Yankees dating back 2 seasons with 1 away. Here in the top of the 8th inning, he will face Alfonso Soriano, who is 2 for 3 today, now 15 for his last 21. It's the first time he comes to the plate, Tim, in today's game without leading off an inning.
But still with nobody on.
2 singles for Soriano today. Facing Tozawa for the first time, and for more on Robinson Cano, we head back downstairs to Ken.
Thanks, Kenny. We were talking about the changing dynamics in the Cano negotiations. And what has happened is that the Yankees now, we can see them being in somewhat of a decaying state. And they might not represent as appealing a long-term option for Cano as they once did. The other change, and a big one, is that he has switched agents, going from Scott Boras to a partnership of Jay-Z and creative artist agency CAA. Now, if Jay-Z wants to make a huge splash with Cano and the Yankees aren't willing to give him a monster deal, you could have that opening for the Dodgers or even another club. But the Dodgers are obviously the biggest threat. They might choose instead to give extensions to Clayton Kershaw and Hanley Ramirez. And they don't have unlimited money, though we've yet to see proof of that yet. But they do have a need at second base. They could trade one of their expensive outfielders. And who knows, maybe Robbie Cano will be in L.A. next season.
Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, both could be available, at least one of the two. Not both. No way they get rid of Puig, Yasiel Puig, the sensational right fielder, who's put L.A. on its ear. Arriving June 3rd, and that's when the Dodgers took off. More than coincidental.
I read some quotes from Cano's father, Jose, who pitched briefly in the major leagues with the Houston Astros
and the All-Star games.
That's right, in the home run derby
to Robinson. Yeah,
his personal pitcher. And Jose Cano has said he would love for Robinson to stay with the Yankees. It's an easy trip for him from the Dominican Republic, only 3 hours, but we shall see.
That's an interesting comment by Ken Rosenthal. The decaying state of the Yankee farm system and the future for them. I think it bodes well for the Dodgers. I mean, offhand, Dodgers with as much money as the Yankees now, and a brighter future, especially if they go to the World Series this year. And who's gonna beat them? You never know in that first round, the best 3 out of 5, or the 4 out of 7 in the LCS. But the Dodgers, I would think, would be odds-on favorite if they continue to play anywhere like they have for the last 2 months.
Now 2-2. Soriano again, 18 runs batted in, last 4 games, tying a major league record. He does not have a run batted in today, most in a 5-game span. Jim Bottomley, Cardinals, 1929 with 21. Derek DiMaggio Sosa, 20 during a 5-game stretch. Now the 2-2, another foul. Alex Rodriguez waiting on deck. 6-1 Red Sox, 1 out, top of the 8th inning at Fenway. Rizal wins the battle. So the cheers for the Red Sox pitcher quickly become boos for Alex Rodriguez.
See the changeup grip, actually the fork ball, and the split gets Soriano.
Rodriguez 0 for 2 with a walk. One ball, one strike, 2 outs, top of the 8th inning. Yankees won last night's game 10-3. Red Sox took a 3-0 lead today in the 4th. It's now 6-1. Ryan Dempster, CC Sabathia in the series finale tomorrow night. Deep right field, Victorino on the run. He makes the catch to retire a run.
I bet Alex Rodriguez has never looked forward to Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline as much as after that at bat. And by Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. Well, Tim, from America's #1 pregame show comes the all-new Fox Football Daily, featuring an all-star lineup of experts and NFL legends. Get everything you love on Sunday, every day of the week. Fox Football Daily premiering Monday on America's new sports network, Fox Sports 1. FS1.
Will Middlebrooks leads off for the Red Sox here in the bottom of the 8th. Fox Football Daily hosted by Kurt Menefee, Jake Glazer. They'll be joined by 3 recently retired stars: Brian Urlacher, Rondé Barber, Randy Moss. Beginning this Monday on Fox Sports 1. Two hits and an RBI today for Middlebrooks. There's Ellsbury on deck. He has 3 hits and has driven in 2 runs.
I would imagine Rondé Barber would have received advice from his brother Tiki, who tried in the TV business 5 years, within the last 5 years, right?
And now the co-host of a national morning radio show. So both Barber brothers in the broadcasting business. Rondé joined us during the 4th quarter last night.
Oh, he did.
From L.A. on the Buccaneers-Patriots telecast.
What a great player for the Buccaneers for so many years.
Played more games than anyone else in franchise history.
I didn't know that.
Middlebrooks draws a leadoff walk. More football tomorrow on Fox. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman will have the call. Week 2 of the NFL preseason. It's the Giants and the Colts. Eli Manning matched up against Andrew Luck. What a rookie season for Luck in 2012. Tim, you were talking about Koji Uehara earlier, the job he's done as the Red Sox closer.
Along with Tozawa, they're almost interchangeable. I mean, you could use either one to close the game. But Uehara, we mentioned it earlier, John Farrell telling us that Uehara has been just sensational for the Red Sox.
One and one on Ellsbury. Three for 4. He's driven in 2 runs. Left-hander Boone Logan up for the Yankee pen.
Briefly last night, Mariano Rivera was up, but he hasn't pitched since last Sunday. For the first time in his career, he blew 3 saves in a row, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And fortunate for the Yankees, Brett Gardner had 2 walk-off hits on Friday and Sunday. And the Yankees turned those 3 blown saves, 2 of them, into wins.
And the Yankees have not needed Rivera due to their blowout wins, 14-7 and 11-3 over the Angels this week, and then 10-3 here last night.
And they lose to the Angels 8-4, so they didn't need him Thursday afternoon.
Ellsbury went around, so Warren with his first strikeout.
Good split. It's Ellsbury.
So 1 away. Here's Victorino. Victorino 1 for 4. He was the first batter Warren faced back in the 6th inning when he came on for Corona. Victorino flied out to left field. Six-1 Red Sox, 1 out, bottom of the 8th inning here in Boston. UFC Fight Night tonight on Fox Sports 1 from TD Garden here in Boston.
Good slider from Warren. That ball really disappeared on Victorino.
Base hit it to left field. Second hit of the day for Victorino. Red Sox with 2 on, 1 out here in the 8th.
How about the game this guy's had today? All over the place defensively. There to his right. There to his left. To his right. 8 assists, 2 putouts for Pedroia this afternoon. What a game.
How often do you say what a game regarding a player who is 0 for 4 and has not hit a ball out of the infield?
It's like a catcher. A catcher can go 0 for 4, and if his pitcher pitches well, then he's had a successful game. That's kind of been the way Pedroia has been this afternoon. Right off the left shin, inside of the left ankle, a little lower than we thought.
Manager John Farrell out to take a look.
About a month ago, Joe Buck and I referred to Yadier Molina, saying that the Cardinals could do without Molina perhaps more than any other club could do without any one player. And I think that's true. But this guy right here might be a close second. As you think of the Red Sox without Pedroia, it just doesn't sound right. Doesn't look right. Doesn't feel right.
Former American League Most Valuable Player, 4-time All-Star. On his 30th birthday. We talked about Cano's contract situation earlier. Pedroia signed his extension with the Red Sox earlier this season.
Another good move by Ben Sherrington and the Red Sox ownership. An essential move. It wasn't only good, it was essential. 8 years through 2021.
Middlebrooks and Victorino, the base runners. 6-1 lead for the Red Sox over the Yankees. One-two from Warren, missing low and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We mentioned Ryan Dempster starts for the Red Sox tomorrow night against CC Sabathia. Dempster and Yankee star reliever David Robertson are teaming up. Yes, a Yankee and a Red Sox working together for a couple of great causes, Ken Rosenthal.
That's right, Kenny. Enough lawyers, drugs, and money. Let's talk about something positive here. It's a competition between the two pitchers called the Power of Two Baseball Challenge. Dempster is supporting the Dempster Family Foundation, the quality of life affected by those affected by 22q deletion syndrome. That's a syndrome that his 4-year-old daughter has had since birth. Robertson is supporting his own foundation, High Sox for Hope, which helps families impacted by tragedies and natural disasters. Now, this is my favorite part. Whoever raises the most money wins, and the loser will have to dress as a superhero for one of the games between the teams at Yankee Stadium in September. and then hold a news conference in costume. Robertson would be Batman, Dempster would be Captain America.
Who would you rather see at that news conference, Tim? Batman or Captain America?
I'm a big Batman fan.
So that would be David Robertson if he loses the competition.
Yeah, either one would be fine, but I would tend to go with Batman.
Warren wins the battle with Pedroia. Second strikeout for Warren.
Two of the really good guys in the game, and I mean that so sincerely. Ryan Dempster and David Robertson. Great guys, great for the game and great for their charities. And it's a knock me down, knockout, charitable situation for both players.
And we use the phrase loser of the competition in jest because there are no losers
of course
in this situation.
Yeah, right.
Whoever raises the least money of the two must dress up. Now Larry Rothschild again out to the mound. Remember, Ortiz took Warren deep in the 7th inning.
Larry out there to tell Adam, don't do that again.
Ortiz with 2 extra base hits today, a double and a home run. He's scored 2 runs. Comes to the plate with 2 outs. Runners on first and second, bottom of the 8th inning. To face Warren once again. Fastball missing inside, 1-1. Two and one on Ortiz, who hit his 425th career home run in the 7th inning. Full count. Payoff pitch from Warren. Left field into the corner to Kurt's foul.
Adam Warren got Jacoby Ellsbury on a splitter. The same with Dustin Pedroia. I think to get David Ortiz out, that's what he's going to have to throw. A splitter out of the strike zone, down.
He walks Ortiz to load the bases. So that will be all for Adam Warren. Here comes Boone Logan from the Yankee pen. here. An epic night of premieres beginning with UFC Fight Night within the hour. Shogun Rua takes on Chael Sonnen, followed by the news and highlight show fans have been waiting for. Fox Sports Live. It all begins tonight at 8. Only on Fox Sports 1. 36 minutes away. UFC Fight Night from TD Garden here in Boston. Boone Logan comes on to make his 50th appearance. Now in his last appearance, Tim, on Thursday against the Angels, allowed an 8th inning grand slam to Chris Nelson, who played for the Yankees earlier this season, now facing Mike Karp with the bases loaded.
One of 2 home runs that Chris Nelson had in that game. And I think normally you'd see Mike Napoli in this situation. But John Farrell said unless it's an emergency, Napoli would not play today.
Nunez to the bag. Karp is retired. We head to the 9th. 6-1 Red Sox. The official beer of Major League Baseball. Red Sox lead 6-1. As we move to the 9th, there is Brock Holt, who replaces Dustin Pedroia at second base for the Red Sox. That's Curtis Granderson. He faces Koji Uehara, who has taken over as the Red Sox closer. This, of course, not a save situation. Uehara with 12 saves on the season, making his 56th appearance. Granderson takes strike 2. Curtis 1 for 3 today.
John Farrell telling us that Uehara finally, with that sense of finality, he's working the 9th inning instead of, I mean, he is vicious. That is as tough a splitter as you can get. Granderson missing that ball by a lot. But John Farrell making the point that it's a lot easier for him to know that he's pitching the 9th instead of thinking that he'll come in the game in the 6th, 7th, or 8th, which makes all the sense in the world.
Helps with his mental preparation. Farrell told us he's been much more efficient as a closer, averaging only 13 pitches per inning. Eduardo Nunez, who has walked twice.
That's tough to do. 13 pitches an inning when you're a strikeout pitcher. That in itself means you're going to throw a lot more pitches.
Remember, it was Uehara who was traded by the Orioles to the Texas Rangers in July of 2011 in exchange for Tommy Hunter and Chris Davis.
Yeah.
Who leads the major leagues in home runs.
Well, he's living up to that trade, only with a different team, the Boston Red Sox, and not the Texas Rangers. Never given the opportunity with Texas because of Joe Nathan. Texas Rangers with the and Nathan with the highest percentage of saves of any major league team.
Rangers lead the American League West by a half game over the Oakland Athletics as Nunez fouls it back. Great job by our entire crew today. Producer Pete Macheska, director Bill Webb, associate director Aaron Stoikov. Happy birthday once again to Aaron. Broadcast associate Jordan Harrison. Technical director Paul Harvath. Tech manager Sid Drexler. Pre-game show produced by Ethan Kleinberg, directed by Lucas Altman. Crunching the numbers for us, Wayne Fiddleman, along with Marty Aronoff, David Corris, and Ben Boma. 2-2 on Nunez. One out, top of the ninth inning. Following a 10-3 Yankees win last night. Red Sox lead this game 6-1 as Nunez strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Granderson and Nunez. Here in the ninth hour, King plays of the game, brought to you by Burger King, where taste is king. John Lackey, one of his 5 assists. Dustin Pedroia, there he is, one of his 8 assists in the game. Red Sox now 1 out away from closing things out for John Lackey, who came into this game having lost his last 4 decisions as Overbay rips this one into the right field corner. Overbay in with a stand-up double, his 3rd hit today.
Third hit of the day for Lyle Overbay. Last time we were in this ballpark for these two teams was July 20th. We talked about it earlier, and Chris Stewart had the best defensive game that I have ever seen a catcher have. What a show he was that afternoon, evening.
But today he will pop into the final out of the game.
Things change, don't they, Kenny?
Middlebrooks makes the catch. A 13-pitch inning for Uehara, right on his average. Red Sox win at 6-1 for Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, and our entire crew. Kenny Albert saying so long from Fenway. Down to Matt Vasgersian and Mitch Williams of the MLB Network studio.